Interstate 105 California. Interstate 105 is an east-west auxiliary interstate highway in the greater Los Angeles urban area of Southern California. It runs from State Route 1 SR1 near El Segundo and Los Angeles International Airport LAX to I-605 in the city of Norwalk. It is commonly known as the Century Freeway after Century Boulevard, which it parallels, and also officially known as the Glenn Anderson Freeway, after the late Congressman Glenn M. Anderson, who advocated for its construction. Route description. The California Streets and Highways Code defines Route 105 as from Pershing Drive near El Segundo to Route 605, but Caltrans never constructed this segment from Sepulveda Boulevard to Pershing Drive. Motorists can continue west via Imperial Highway over conventional roadway to Pershing Drive. I-105 begins at Sepulveda Boulevard SR1 on the southern edge of Los Angeles International Airport LAX, adjacent to the city of El Segundo. It proceeds generally eastward from there on, crossing the Los Angeles and San Gabriel rivers before terminating just east of the San Gabriel River Freeway I-605 in western Norwalk. The freeway stops short of intersecting with the Santa Ana Freeway I-5, its parent interstate. Instead, the primary lanes of I-105 terminate at an at-grade intersection with Studebaker Road. Much of the length of the Century Freeway runs parallel to Imperial Highway. It also runs parallel to and 1.6 km south of Century Boulevard, from which its original name is derived. Century Boulevard, in turn, is named for its position equivalent to 100th Street in the Los Angeles grid. The Los Angeles Metro Rail C line runs in the median of nearly the entire length of I-105. The C line's eastern terminus is at Norwalk, at the interchange between I-105 and I-605. I-105 is part of the California Freeway and Expressway system and is part of the National Highway System, a network of highways that are considered essential to the country's economy, defense, and mobility by the Federal Highway Administration. History. Early planning. I-105 was an integral part of the Caltrans 1960s master plan for the Southern California. The right-of-way was included on several early highway plans since at least 1947, although it was not named the Century Freeway until 1956 and was numbered Route 42. In 1965, the Century Freeway was added to the state system originated at State Route 1 Sepulveda Boulevard east to Central Avenue in the city of Los Angeles along an alignment very near to the current right-of-way. The current route was added to the interstate system in 1968. Design and local opposition. The route was designed between 1968 and 1972 by Caltrans District 7 under the direction of design chief Sid Illix. However, opposition from some of the communities through which the right-of-way would pass slowed the process and led to some reroutings. Many factors contributed to the delay. The growth of the environmental movement in the 1960s created resistance to new freeway construction. Fiscal difficulties brought about by the 1971 Sylmer earthquake and the California tax revolt of the late 1970s further hampered Caltrans' construction efforts. However, the major source of resistance to the freeway's construction was community opposition and the side effects of these demands. By the early 1970s, most of the areas in the freeway's path and thus slated to be demolished were predominantly African American. Resentment over previous freeway projects' effects on other Black communities resulted in significant modifications to the original route. Most cities along the way, weary of the noise and visual blight created by elevated freeways, demanded that the route be built far below grade in a trench. Also, another source for resistance to the freeway's construction was that much of the I-105 path was going to be built in low-income, high-crime neighborhoods, which also delayed the freeway's construction until the crime in the areas went down. Norwalk was opposed to the freeway's proposed route through its city center and blocked the freeway from reaching its intended terminus at the Santa Ana Freeway. However, Caltrans had already decided to abandon that section due to the inability of the severely congested Santa Ana Freeway to accommodate any more traffic. Keith v. Volpe. In 1972, community opposition resulted in a federal lawsuit, Keith v. Volpe, being filed, charging a violation of various civil rights protections and the National Environmental Policy Act (NEPA). An important figure in the freeway's history was Harry Prejerson, a United States federal judge who presided over the lawsuit concerning the freeway's construction and chose to continue presiding over the case despite being promoted to a higher-level court. The interchange with Minus 110 is named the Judge Harry Prejerson Interchange in his honor. In 1972, Judge Prejerson enjoined the further development of the freeway until it has complied with the requirements of NEPA, the California Environmental Quality Act (SEQA), the Federal Aid Highway Act, and the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Act of 1970. In 1979, this lawsuit resulted in a consent decree amended in 1981, which imposed several conditions on development of the freeway, including additional public hearings, preparation of an environmental report, alterations to the design to reduce lanes and intersections, improve carpooling, and provide for a transit way, which became a portion of the right-of-way was also to be constructed below grade to buffer adjacent areas from the effects of traffic noise. After construction began in the 1980s, failure to perform a full survey of the area's groundwater deposits, combined with the 20-30-foot 6.19.1 and below-grade trench through the city of Downey, resulted in buckling and cracking along the eastern portions of the route. At one point, a large sinkhole opened in the Bellflower Boulevard on-ramp. This resulted in the construction of an elaborate pump system along the freeway between the interchanges with Minus 710 and Minus 605. Century Freeway Housing Program. A significant aspect of the Keith v. Volpe consent decree was the requirement that the housing removed to construct the freeway be replaced, leading to the creation of the Century Freeway Housing Program within the California Department of Housing and Community Development. Notable demolished homes and buildings. The childhood home of Brian, Carl, and Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys was demolished in the mid-Minus 1980s to make way for the freeway, as was the house across the street where their bandmate David Marks grew up. In 2005, the Beach Boys' historic landmark was built on the former site of the Wilson brothers' home and declared a California Historic Landmark. The birthplace of Metallica, former bassist Ron McGovney's house, stood directly in the path of the route nearby to Minus 605 in Downey. Another home in Downey, California, where siblings Richard and Karen Carpenter grew up before forming the musical duo The Carpenters, was also razed for Minus 105. Post-construction. Throughout the difficulties, Congressman Glenn Anderson D. San Pedro tirelessly advocated for the route's construction, touting its possibilities for congestion relief along Century, Manchester, and Firestone Boulevards and the Imperial Highway. It succeeded in these tasks, as well as relieving pressure on the Santa Monica Minus 10 and San Diego Minus. After Anderson's death in 1994, Caltrans honored him by renaming the freeway in his honor. However, the route's original name, Century Freeway, is still used on a number of maps. The freeway was originally signed with El Segundo as its westbound control city. However, in recent years, many of the El Segundo signs have been replaced and or covered with LAX airport signage due to the western terminus proximity to Los Angeles International Airport. Shortly before opening, filmmakers had access to use the empty freeway for a number of weeks to film the 1994 motion picture Speed. Interstate 105 1964-68. Previously, the Minus 105 designation was used for U.S. Route 101, the Santa Ana Freeway, U.S. 101 from Minus 5, the Golden State Freeway at the East Los Angeles interchange, to the connection to Minus 10, the San Bernardino Freeway. This connection had been Minus 110. It went back to US 101 in 1968. Exit list. The entire route is in Los Angeles County. In popular culture, road rage scenes for the 1992 film Patriot Games were filmed on the freeway before it opened. The freeway was used as a stand-in for the roads and highways that run through the Baltimore-Annapolis area in Maryland. The nighttime high-speed chase, seen in Demolition Man, was filmed on Viaduct section west of I 405. Scenes for the 1994 film Speed were filmed on the freeway before it opened. During filming in 1993, the freeway was used for both a stand-in for the Santa Monica Freeway I-10 and as the still unopened 105 freeway. Some of the scenes pertaining to a tornado hitting Los Angeles in the 2004 film The Day After Tomorrow were filmed on Viaduct section west of I 405. In the 2007 film Live Free or Die Hard, the climactic scene where the protagonist John McClane is being chased by a fighter jet was filmed on the 105 freeway. In the 2013 video game Grand Theft Auto V, set in the fictional city of Los Santos based on the Los Angeles metropolitan area, I 105 is represented as the Olympic Freeway. The Judge Harry Prejerson interchange with I 110 was used in the 2016 musical film La La Land.